Have you ever stood in a fitting room trying on clothes, nothing seems to fit right, and then you blame your body for not conforming to the clothes? I have information that is going to change the way you think about your relationship with clothes. I recently came across a really fascinating study by Verena Aaron of My Green Closet. She graciously allowed me to share the findings of her study with you in this video, and I'm going to share more about her in a bit. She surveyed 1,000 women about clothing sizes and their fit challenges, and the results are compelling. Let me explain the demographics that she used for this study. She surveyed 1,000 women ages 18 through 44. Most of them fell between 25 and 34, and I'll explain how this is relevant to women over 50, 60, and beyond in a bit. The participants self-reported their bust, waist, and hip measurements, and they also reported the letter size that they mostly fit into, meaning small, medium, large, etc. And they also reported their most common fit issue. The data that Verena collected was compared to the average sizes across 10 popular clothing brands. The objective was to see how easily women fit into these brand sizes, and the results are mind-blowing. The first finding was about body shape variation. 77% of these women did not fit one single letter size across these three measurements. That means the majority of these women needed a different size across the bust, waist, and hips. Keep in mind that this data did not reflect inseam, rise, whether somebody has a long or a short torso, whether you're tall or whether you're short, or whether you have broad shoulders. These are just three basic measurements. So if you think about that, 77% of 25 to 34-year-olds did not fit into these standard sizes. You can imagine that the percentage for women over 50 would be much higher. The next finding was about common fit issue. The top three biggest challenges from women in this survey are exactly what many of us over 50 experience daily. Take a look at these top three issues. The most common fit issue among these women in the survey were the hips fitting too small. The second one on that list was the waist being too big. And the third one on this list were the thighs being too small. Sound familiar? It should, because these fit issues are directly related to the natural changes that we face as we mature, as we experience menopause, as we experience life events that cause redistribution of our weight. The next finding was about standard sizing. Not one single person in the survey exactly matched the standard size that brands use for their samples. Based on the sizing of 10 different brands in the study, less than 1% fit into any brand's size measurements. The next finding was about size discrepancy. 27% of the people in this survey were wearing a size significantly different than what their actual measurements would suggest they should wear. So that means a lot of us are shopping based on a different size than we actually are. So this begs the question, and be honest, when was the last time you actually took your measurements? Even if your measurements haven't changed over the span of the last 10, 20, however many years, the brand's sizing standards have definitely changed. So why does this matter? Why does this matter to us? It matters because it means you, me, everyone watching this, you are far from alone in any of your clothing fit struggles. After 50, actually even after 40, 50, 60, and beyond, our bodies have undergone changes that most clothing manufacturers simply can't and don't account for. Hormone shifts, natural weight distribution, childbirth, postural changes, I mean, the list goes on. It's impossible for them to account for all of these changes, but all of these contribute to a body shape that standard sizing charts fail to serve. If 77% of these 25 to 34-year-olds do not fit into a standard size, I would venture to say that the percentage skyrockets for women over 50. Each and every one of us have our own unique shape that we should actually celebrate, but we instead blame ourselves when we don't fit into these standards. We're all incredibly and wonderfully diverse, and it should be celebrated. And this is a hard truth, but it is unrealistic, really, for any of us to expect off-the-rack clothing to fit us perfectly. So what can we do? What can we do about this? We need to take control of the things that we can. And what does that look like? First and foremost, we need to stop blaming our bodies for clothes that don't fit. We need to shift the narrative to the clothing fails us. The next time you're in a fitting room and you are feeling discouraged, I want you to remember this. At least 7 of the next 10 people that walk in there to try on clothes are experiencing the exact same struggles that you are. Sizing across brands varies so vastly, so I think we have to take control by learning the proper way to take our measurements. I'm gonna leave some links down below of some good tutorials about how to actually properly take your measurements. We need to do this, and we need to keep them with us at all times. Now, this doesn't mean that it's gonna guarantee a perfect fit. It doesn't guarantee that at all, but it's going to be a helpful guide when the clothing industry is so varied across their standard sizing. Okay, the next couple of things I'm gonna tell you are not gonna be popular, but it is reality and it is the truth. When you are looking for clothes, we have to fit our biggest and our widest part first, and then we have to tailor down. The next thing, learn to do your own simple alterations. I have done a tutorial on hemming your own jeans. There are thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of awesome YouTube tutorials on how to do simple alterations so that you don't have to incur that extra cost when you don't need to. Also, learn which alterations you can live without. For example, I am never going to have sleeves altered or shoulders altered. Those do not bother me, and or I'll live without that garment if it's something that doesn't fit me right. There are certain alterations that are not worth it to me to spend the money to do. Another thing is shop online. I know that's not popular because nobody likes to return, and sometimes it can be a very frustrating process. But if you are petite or if you have clothing struggles, you are going to find your best options and your best variety online. These are things that we can take control of. Another thing you can do, and this is not going to be an option for everybody. Everybody's budget and bandwidth is different. But you can look for somebody who does custom-made clothing. I imagine that is pretty expensive, and I imagine that's not easy to find. I have seen and heard places on Etsy can do this. But again, I know that that's not going to be something that everybody can do, and I don't know that that's something that I would look into myself, but it is an option if you're not willing to do or make sacrifices in any of these other areas. So we all know about vanity sizing and how vast these sizes between brands can be, but yet we still blame ourselves. We blame our bodies for not fitting into the clothes. So that narrative has to shift. Take control of what you can, because this study is proof that we are not alone in our clothing challenges. Whether you're short, whether you're tall, whether you have wider hips than bust. I mean, the list goes on and on because we are so uniquely different, and that should be celebrated. But I'm going to say it again, most importantly, know that you are not alone in your struggles. I want to know down in the comments what struggles you are dealing with and what solutions you can share with everybody here. I think it's helpful for all of us to share our struggles and then to also share solutions as we find them. I want to give such a very special thanks to Verena Aaron for allowing me to share this wonderful study that she did. I think it's such an important message, and when I came across her blog post about this, I thought it was absolutely fascinating. She has a background in fashion design and pattern making, and she is the face behind My Green Closet. She specializes in a sustainable and ethical and minimal wardrobe. I highly encourage you to go read her study in full. I'm going to link it below along with her Instagram page and her YouTube channel. Yes, she has a YouTube channel, so go check her out. All of that will be linked in the description, as well as the first comment. It will be pinned to the first comment. Please give her some love and go read her blog post. She's amazing, and I wanted just to say, give a very special thank you to her for allowing me to share this. Sound off in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video.